Hi everybody, welcome to the third knitting podcast episode. I'm Nella, I'm a knitter from Germany, and I'm studying English and music to become a teacher, and in my free time I like to knit and sew and just craft all of the things that just give me so much joy. So let's get right into this podcast. First things first, I am wearing the blouse number 1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I feel like everybody has now knit this blouse, and for good reason. It looks very cute, and I love it in this color. I feel like it looks particularly elegant, and just, I don't know, the neckline is so beautiful with this too. So I really like this. I have found some issues just in styling it, because I feel like this color is very particular to what it likes to be styled with versus what it does not like to be styled with. And so I found wearing this with similar shades. I'm wearing a denim, like a light denim skirt today, and I think this goes by, this wears so well. But I've worn other things that I did not like the look of, but I've also enjoyed wearing this with a bit of a creamy beige pant, and also white would be stunning in this, I think. Alright, the yarn I used for this is also what I'm knitting my other project with, because I'm trying to use up the yarn, is the Fashion Silk Blend. This is a little crazy looking skein here, but it's the Rico Design Fashion Silk Blend DK, right? Yeah, in the color 10, just in mint. Yeah, it's a cotton and silk blend. It feels very soft. I've knit this in the size M with 4mm and 5mm needles, and that's this top. So I don't have any knitted finished objects this week, but I have a top that I've actually sewn that I wanted to show you. This is the open neck top by Aura Patterns. It is a simple top, and I started this project half a year ago at least, and I had started with the collar, but I just kind of lost steam with it, put it away, started something new, and never looked at it again. And this was also used to use up the fabric that I had left over for this, because I made the graduation dress by my Ardor in this cotton jersey fabric. So I had this left over, and so I'm super proud that I actually went back and finished this. I did not anticipate that I was going to do this, because I was in a bit of a sewing slump the past 2 months, to be honest. And yeah, I do want to pop this on real quick, but I also want to show what it looks like from the inside, because I am a beginner sewer, and you can tell. I do want to get to the point to where this looks so good that it looks handmade, because I want that type of quality, but to where it looks like it was professionally made. And as you can see, I was struggling a bit with the top stitching and just getting the seam covered here. I always struggle with that, and one day I will hold something into the camera that looks so good that you think I bought it from a really good quality store, which it currently does not. But that's alright. It's a functional top, and I use it up. It is a little scrunched up here because either the pattern was wrong, or I cut it out wrong, or I printed it wrong. I don't know what happened, but it seemed way too long. The neckline seemed way too long, and also the armholes it was looking really weird, so I kind of had to freestyle, which I've never done before, so I was just kind of going by what felt like was happening. And I had to hand stitch some of these stitch in the ditch on the wrong side because I could not get it correctly for the whole side. Alright, so this is what it looks on. Pretty cute, right? It's a little scrunched up here, which it is what it is. I don't know. I might fix that next time because I do want to do this top again because I really like the fit. And also from the back, it looks very, very cute. So I do plan on doing this in a couple different colors because I don't have any tops for the summertime. So I am gonna make a couple more of these, but with some fixes and more neat neater ways of finishing the seams. And yeah, but I do think I'm gonna wear this a ton. I wore this 3 days in a row already. It was a new item. Yeah, I like it. Moving on. Alright, I just had to fix my hair real quick. But let's take a look into my whip basket. So, the last time I chatted with you guys, I was starting this cardigan, which is my sunshine cardigan, but is actually the Robinson wrap cardigan by Florence Miller, or handmade by Florence. And as you can see, I got very far with it. I'm nearly done, and this flew off my needles. This was the only thing I wanted to knit on. I feel a little annoyed that I stopped at this point. Like, why didn't I just finish that? Anyways, but yeah, I'm knitting this in Drops Charisma, the color 79. It's a very punchy yellow, vibrant color, which is why I call it my sunshine cardigan. And let me tell you about the construction, because I'm knitting this as a front tie cardigan. So it is a V-neck raglan cardigan, where I am going to attach some ties in the front here, so that you can tie it. And I basically followed the instructions just as it said in the pattern to do until I reached the point where you're supposed to split the sleeves. Now, because at that point it was still too short, I continued a bit further, but that's also in the instructions. But when I was supposed to be done with the yoke, that's when I stopped doing the increases for the front and just knit back and forth without any increases here. Because in the beginning you do increases at the front, but then I stopped once I was finished with the yoke. And then from that point on, I just I just knit back and forth till I was finished. Now, the person that inspired me to knit a variation of this, she did an I-cord bind off for the bottom and for the sleeves. I did not like the look of that because I felt like it looked too heavy for this garment. And so what I did is, and I hope this blocks flat once I'm finished with it, but I just did you knit 1, you knit 2, you pull the first loop over the second loop, you knit 1, you pull that loop over the stitch you just knit it, and that's just the typical bind off that I used. And I feel like it looks a lot more delicate for this piece, especially since this is very cropped, because I wanted to wear it over dresses and such. I do think it looks a lot better. That does give me an issue though, because I was planning on doing an I-cord finish for the button band, but now it'll probably look too chunky compared to the rest. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. If you have any suggestions, let me know. But I'm just looking for a very dainty bind off. Yeah. I have knit the sleeves just without any decreases, just straight on. I increased one stitch at the point where there was about this much left of the sleeve. And I do have to admit, this sleeve is way too long. It goes to here. I don't know what happened, but yeah, I was in the train. I wasn't really paying attention. It was warm. I couldn't really put this on because there were so many people around. And so I kind of bound off a little too late, but I'm just gonna frog it up to this point, just this chunk, and then I think I'll be fine. Now, I have been thinking about maybe I should have knit the sleeves tapered, because I feel like with the yarn and me wanting this to be more of a transitional piece to wear, that it might look too bulky with these big sleeves, especially since the front and the body is just so dainty looking, that might be better. But now that I've already gotten so far, I kind of don't want to rip that back. That being said, I really enjoyed knitting on this. It goes by so quickly, and I look forward to finishing this piece. I did actually already wanted to have this finished, but I didn't. But yeah, if you were wondering how you could modify this cardigan, it is super simple, because I had doubts about me being able to do that, but yeah. All right, you can be very proud of me, because I actually continued knitting on the wrap cardigan, the ballerina wrap top by Two of Wand or Alexander's Garn. I'm knitting this in the size S, but I went off the pattern recommendations because the yoke was too small for me. And also I am copying Florence Miller's front suggestion of continuing the make one right on the one side and the make one left on the other side for the front, so that it crosses and looks a little bit more modest. I am nearly finished with the body. I hope I can show this. And I have actually reached the point to where you cast on 2 stitches at the tip, or at the point I should say, to elongate it, and at one point you do an I-cord, I think. I'm not at that point yet, but as you can see, that's kind of the shape we're going, and I was a little confused about this as I was knitting it as to what was happening, but now I know. And I never hear anybody talk about the construction of this, and maybe to most people it is simple or they understand it, but I feel like it's helpful to know. So for the hole that you create, because you create a hole where you then can put the tie in, what you do is, I don't think it is short rows, but basically you knit to the one side, and I just stopped under the one armhole that I was at. It's here, right? Or is it here? Oh no, it's here. So I knit to that point, and then you just turn, you purl the way back, you knit back to that point, you purl back, and I think you do that 2 or 3 times maybe. You cut the yarn, unfortunately, and then at the same point here, you attach the yarn again and continue knitting and then purling back, knitting, purling back. So you kind of do both sides separately. And then you, once you're finished with that, you knit back and forth again to close the slit. So yeah, that's how it's going. Again, I'm using the Fashion Silk Blend DK in the color Mint. I'm using this up from this sweater, and I'm so proud that I'm using this up. I do want to get to the point to where I've used the complete skein of this up. We'll see how it goes. But the issue right now is this. And usually I just lose my patience and just cut it. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I do just have a tiny bit left of the bottom. Then I need to do the I-cord and the button band. I do not look forward to that. And then my plan was to just do the sleeves as long as this skein will take me, because this is the last skein I have left over, and then I will be done with the skein. Oops, it just fell down. Then I will be done with the skein, and that'll be that. So yeah, that's very exciting. Because I feel guilty of only knitting on my sunshine cardigan, I thought, okay, let's knit on this thing. This is the Anisah. It is a shawl by D.O. Keefe. I wanted to do a couple rows on this because I was bored of just knitting stock knit. Oh my god, I've also lost a couple stitches. Let's ignore that. And I made a mistake. So probably gonna have to frog this back a little bit and continue, but nothing happened with this. I'm knitting this in Drops Air and the color Sweet Orchid. I love the color. It is stunning. The pattern is stunning. But yeah, that is that. Let's go into acquisitions because that's all I've knit. Just didn't knit that much. That's not true. I did knit a lot on this. And let me show you my bowl. I got some new yarn, which is for my... It is for the Luminin Chunky by Jenny Cootie. It is inspired by the Esta sweater, so the color choice is inspired by the Esta sweater. And I had, last time I showed you these two skeins, and then I got these two, or these three, in the purple color, and it is the Cool Wool Big by Lana Grossa in the colorway 1025. And I wanted to not hold these together, but do the color work with these, have the white as a background, and then divide the snowflake in half purple and half pink. I think it's gonna look stunning. However, I have decided to do this knit next year because I feel like this is the perfect January, February dopamine knit with the beautiful pink and purple and white colors. And yeah, I've decided to wait until that point to knit that. We'll see, maybe I'll cast it on earlier, but currently that's not the plan. That is it for the knitting part of this. I do have a sewing project I wanted to show you. And usually when people show their sewing projects, they usually just show it finished. And this is kind of finished. This is the Dream Frock by Lydia Naomi. I've sewn this last year before, and I wanted to make it again because I like to sew. I love sewing. I hate fitting, especially because I feel like patterns don't fit me, and so I need to do a ton of adjustments, and that's just very demotivating when I just wanna sew and have a finished piece. I don't want to do all the fitting. And so I thought, okay, what if I just make this again? And so that's the point where we're at. I started this last week, so this is a week old, if you may. It is pretty much finished. However, I think I've made a mistake with the back, and that is that it just fits funny, because in the back there's just this one gather, so it kind of sits like this. There's just one pleat in the middle of this, and so what I wanted to do is open up this seam and just take out a bit of the fabric at the top so that there's not that big gather there. You can kind of see it looks kind of a bit like this, and the other part is just straight, and it just looks weird. That was a weird experience. But yeah, I did do some alterations with it. First of all, I did the sheared back, and I did these thicker straps, which I really adore. I cannot wait to wear this, but I still need to fix the back on this. And that is that. This is a cotton, some type of cotton. I have no idea, to be honest, but that is that. I am going to get my needle to weave in some ends. I wanted to weave in some ends of this because I feel like now is the perfect time to wear these kinds of things, as you can see. And I wanted to chat about my summer sewing plans, because I have decided, in that same sentiment, that I don't like to fit things or just take forever to having to fit things. I have decided that this summer is going to be my dream frock summer by Lydia Naomi, where I am just going to sew that top a bunch of times in different colors, in different variations, and yeah, because that is simple and that's all I can do. And whenever I see people on YouTube doing a sewing vlog, they never have to alter or have serious fit issues that take them back. And now, granted, I'm a beginner, so I don't really know what I'm doing yet, and I don't really know where the issues lie, but still there's so many fit issues. And I feel like whenever people are filming the just sewing vlogs or sew-alongs, I feel like they don't really struggle with that, and to me that's just very frustrating, if I'm honest. And so I just thought I'll just knit that a bunch of times. I can practice my techniques to just get a very clean looking top. Alright, the idea is that I want to sew just the top version 4 or 5 times, and that might sound crazy, but I wanted to do some variations with it so that it looks like a different top. Now, as I was sewing that dress in the coral top, I thought, oh my god, this is the most gorgeous color ever, and I really loved just the top, and I was thinking of keeping the top and then doing the skirt separately. However, the top is so tight that it is a struggle to get on. Now once the skirt is attached to it, it's not an issue because I can just pull on it, but trying to get that on by its just the top is super difficult. So I didn't want to do that. Now I ordered 2 meters of the fabric to do that dress, and I laid out the pattern pieces on top of the remaining scrap fabric, and I saw that I had enough fabric left to do another top. I might not be able to do the straps as thick as I have done with this, but I think you can do another top, and I might just do it because I feel like it's the perfect summer color. It's such a punch of color, so vibrant, so happy, such a dopamine color. And the top is so cute. So I am thinking of doing that. All right. The next variation on the top I wanted to do is I wanted to knit the top but with the puff sleeves, still the faux sheared back, but in white. I have some white linen, and I thought that top in a white linen would look so cottagecore and cute and would just go with everything. And that is the second version I want to make. By the way, this is not in the order in which I want to make them in. All right, the next top variation that I want to do is that top, but in a baby doll style. So I do want to experiment with the pattern and just with the pieces and change up some things and not just sew the same thing a million times, because I don't think I would enjoy wearing the same thing in different colors necessarily. I do want a bit of variety. And so what I wanted to do was I wanted to have the bust cups the same, but then do a baby top style. And I wanted to do it in a mint green because last year I actually wanted to sew the dress the first time in a mint green color, but for some reason my sewing machine could not handle that fabric and it was puckering. I even went to the fabric store where I bought the fabric and they had no idea what was going on. They just said, oh, your machine is just horrible. So I don't really know if that's true or not, but I couldn't work with it because it just looked horrible. But I was thinking maybe in that, doing it like that, because it just would have two seams here. Let me show you what I mean. I wanted to make it like this. So keeping the bust front, and since that's ruched and stuff, you wouldn't really see if that looked a little messy. And then just do spaghetti straps that you can tie, which I think looks so cute. And then just have the kind of baby doll where I would just have the two pieces that just flare out a bit. I think that would be really cute. And then I wanted to do the same thing in a yellow color, a pale yellow color, because yellow and pale yellow is in my color season and I love that color. And it would go really well with this top. And yeah, just the same, but in the yellow. And then I think there's only one left. Yeah. And this one is very, very special. Let me show you what I've decided to do. Can you see that? So that's the idea. The plan. I have some jeans that are stretch jeans. I've had them for a couple years now, and the material is not holding up anymore. It is puckering in the weirdest way imaginable. And so it is time to let that go, unfortunately. But instead of just throwing the pants out or donating them, I thought I could use the legs. First of all, I could save the zipper because the zipper is by YKK, which is a good brand, so I would save that. I don't think there was anything else I wanted to save, but I wanted to save the zipper and then use the part of the fabric that still looked good to sew the bodice pieces. And since it's a stretch material, I could just sew the pieces as they are, just sew the bodice part. without any shearing or any zipper or anything, because I could just stretch it over. And then for the bust, I thought I could use the same white material that I've used for the top, and just do the bust. And then I thought, okay, that sounds good, but why don't we embroider some on it? And so I think before I cut out the pieces for the pants, cut the pieces from the pants, I want to embroider a little something on it in white. And I don't know, I think it's gonna look very, very cute. And I love embroidery, and I think that's just gonna be a very special and unique touch. And I really like the idea of taking a pattern and just using it in different ways to customize it. Alright, that is done. I hope you've been weaving in ends with me as well. But yeah, these were my design ideas, kind of. Just some flowery dot motifs. I'm not set on that yet. If you have any ideas or suggestions, or just know where I could look or find some ideas, let me know, but I'm very excited about that. I think I'm gonna leave it at that for the ends. And oh, I want to show one last thing. And it's not sewing, it's not knitting, it is kintsugi. That was probably pronounced wrong, so I'm sorry. But I wanted to show you this because I think it's beautiful. Basically, kintsugi is a Japanese art form where you repair broken things with gold. So you glue them back together and then you add gold into the cracks. And so it is a way of bringing back things, giving them a new life, whilst also highlighting the beauty of something that has been broken. And I love that philosophy of it. And I have been breaking dishes like crazy. I don't know what it is, but just bam, bam, bam. I've been breaking like 2 or 3 things a week. I hope it stops soon. And I was just thinking, like, I can't, it's too sad. And this is so beautiful too. I got this whole set of over 40 pieces for 40 euros a couple years ago. And I cannot keep breaking so many things because I will be left with nothing. And so I thought there must be a solution for this. And so I got this, I got a little kit on Amazon where you can do this kintsugi. Now, it's probably not the right way to do it. It's definitely not the proper way to do it. But basically this is just a glue with some glitter that you mix and you put it onto the pieces and you hold them together, let that sit for a day, and you can use it again. I think it's beautiful. And I do feel like if this works, I will at some point have all of my dishes glued or repaired in this way, because I do see myself breaking a lot more stuff just by accident. But I do wanted to share that because it is beautiful. And yeah, just giving life to old things that otherwise we would throw away. Same with my pair of jeans that otherwise I would throw away or donate or whatever because it's broken, but now I can give new life to it and enjoy the new piece that I'm making even more. Alright, so that's the end of the podcast. Let me know what you were knitting on. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Subscribe to the channel for more videos. Give it a thumbs up and probably this way. Give it a thumbs up and I'll see you next time. Bye!